Walking on eggshells. Here's the pizza you ordered. Grazie. Is someone sitting here? Yes. Great. Glad to join you. I said the seat's taken. You should go and continue your family's work. Don't bother a commoner like me. Lavinia. I'm not blaming you, Leon. I don't blame Bernardo either. If there's anyone to blame, it would have to be me. It's my fault I was born into this country and still cling to these fantasies in my heart. I have no reason to blame either of you. I'm not trying to reason with you at a time like this. I know full well that comforting words mean nothing right now. Even though I'm a victim just like you, it's only natural that you see me as a perpetrator. All I can tell you is, I still haven't given up. That's all. There are too many things going on in the city these days. Do keep an eye out and stay safe. If you run into any problems, give me a call. Segretario Rubio. Are you free right now, Your Honor? Folks on the street seem mighty jumpy. What happened yesterday was a pretty big deal. You really gonna talk to that director? Yes. There's some things I need to set straight with him. No matter what. But it'll be fine. Keep doing what you need to do, Croissant. I'll be there. Don't worry. In that case, I'll be Croissant's bodyguard for the day. Thanks. I appreciate it. If things go south, y'all give us a holler. Will do. Croissant, you're thinking about the whole business with Texas again, aren't you? Reading me like a book, huh? You can say that again. I'm the same after all. I know what Sora is thinking. If Texas really wants to stay, she's going to respect her opinion. And I agree with that. But I still want my sister to meet her friends. Or my friends. At least. There's a way to get Texas out of Syracuse safely. You'd want to find it too, wouldn't you? Yeah. Reckon I can't hide anything from you. Probably couldn't hide it from those two either. Just like we can understand what Sora is thinking. They understand what we're thinking. This is still Syracuse. And Texas is tangling with some of the biggest shots in the country. I got no clue what I'm supposed to do. Oh? I thought you would have figured it out. Huh? Speaking of big shots in the country, didn't we meet one of them yesterday? Come in. Welcome, Signorina Sora. Signorina Selinia. Why are you dragging Sora and the others into this? Sora's resume coming across my desk was honestly a coincidence. Of course. It could also be something of an inevitability. After all, Compagnia dell'Alba is a pretty well-known troupe in Syracuse. But what most fans don't know is that troupe's director is actually the Dawn of the Family Bologna. That, of course, is a secret. After all, I have handed the family's business in this city to my son, and I'm no backseat driver. Signorina Selinia, Signorina Sora, I have been directing this troupe for 6 years. I hope the two of you can at least believe that my pursuit and love of the arts has nothing to do with my business. I too would like to see Signorina Sora shine dazzling bright on stage. If I could, then let the two of you finish your heartwarming reunion. But You don't particularly care if she does get dragged in, do you? Drop the pretense, Bernardo. No matter how you try to sugarcoat it, even if meeting Sora was just a coincidence, how could I not expect you to care about her safety? Enough jokes, lovely Selenia. This is the first time I've seen you angry since you got back to Syracuse. Director, there's something I need to know. By all means. Is the agreement between the two of us still valid? You're talking about that even if I found Texas, I'd stay with the troupe and continue performing. Oh? And here I thought you came to terminate our contract. What I can do is totally insignificant in the face of the conflict between families. It'll be too hard for Texas to protect us in that chaos. And I trust that you are a man of your word, at least. So, to cut to the chase, I'm willing to stay here and be your hostage. Your bravery never ceases to impress me, Signorina. There's actually no need to be nervous. I didn't call you here to castigate you. In fact, what happened at the theater was meant to be a healthy exchange of pleasantries with the Rosatis. What you've accomplished has already surpassed my wildest dreams. And so, I'd like to inform you that the contract between us is terminated. You're free to go. From now on, Selenia is no longer under Family Balloon's protection. Is this bargaining chip enough to satisfy you, my friend? Satisfy me? You think I'd forget who brought her back in the first place? All I want to know is, what was the point of this? From the very beginning. You should thank my son. He was the one who convinced me you were someone to cooperate with. Leon? I see. I've always been optimistic about family Rosati's development. Selenia was just the one who built the foundation of our cooperation today. In other words, even if Leontuzzo didn't come to me, you would have. Like father, like son. Touching. I just hope my son can learn a thing or two from your drive. Listen, Bernardo. Other people might fall for your tricks, but I won't. Of course, Wallach. I did these things only to show you who really stands in your way. Oh? Is my biggest obstacle not sitting right in front of me? If you think you can get me to betray my daughter, keep dreaming. Perish the thought. No. This is a reminder. Deep down, you know the truth. Selenia's visit has greatly affected Giovanna. Everyone in Syracuse respects Salvador. Respect isn't blind obedience. Salvador's era ended 7 years ago. In this day and age, are you still willing to serve Giovanna? To protect his legacy? You could have soared higher and further. The Donna works for the greater good. Is the greater good she wants the same you want? Family Rosati used to dominate Colombia, standing on equal footing with the Texases. Coming back here to Syracuse, they're pushed around by the other 11 families. Shouldn't your Rosatis rise above the other families and drag Signora Cecilia down from the Grey Hall? Stop talking like you know me, old man. I don't know you, but I know people like you. And I know the look in your eye. Not a single man alive could ever get comfortable with the stagnant cesspool that Syracuse has become. You understood that when you saw Selenia walk out of that room alive, didn't you? Even if that's true, even if what you say is right, that's something for our family to figure out. Aren't old-fashioned families like yours the most reluctant to get their hands dirty? Are you telling me this is what Syracusan dignity means? Wrong again, Wallach. I invited you here to share an opportunity with you. An opportunity to overthrow the existing order in Siracusa and establish a new one. Why the Rosatis? 60 years ago, Signora Cecilia brought back two things from Laterano: guns and order. Today, people think a unified decision of the Dodici family created Grey Hall. But they forget how Signora Cecilia got the Dodici to sit down together. Absolute power. Alberto is too prudent, too analytical. He's been cautious his whole life. And prudence isn't what I need to take on Signora Cecilia. What I want is a friend who's also looking to overthrow the existing order. Think about it carefully, Wallach. This is the best opportunity you're going to get. Is Dodonna here? Over in that room. Go and tell her that I'm going to deal with Selenia by abducting her friends. Are we seriously going to do that? What you should be asking instead is this really what you want the Rosatis to be? You sure the guy we met yesterday was all that wonderful? Yeah, I got a hunch. Who would such a heavy hitter be hanging around this town, though? Think it makes sense? If I were in his position, I'd do the same thing. Hearing it from you does make it seem more convincing somehow. But how'd you know he's at the courthouse? Oh, there you are. Well, do you remember the last thing he said? It gave me the impression he'd normally be in court, not at church. Right, sir? Sir? I'm thinking we should leave him be. Huh? Oh, it's you kids. Hello there. We came to ask you a few questions. Good. Take a seat. It's never a bad day to talk to the youths. We got a friend who's all mixed up in a contract. It's one of them families. They got her doing all kinds of things for him. We've been noodling on whatever or not there might be a way out for her. Your friend's surname is Texas, isn't it? Yes. I've heard that Bernardo is a man of his word. As a Don, he must never break his promises. But even us foreigners can tell all this hubbub in the Bologna family is trying to rifle up Signora Cecilia. We ain't about to go sticking our heads in all this complicated business. And to be honest, it don't got much to do with us neither. But we don't want Texas getting any payback from Signora Cecilia. Back then, Cecilia's fury toward Giuseppe, but what he had done, was just as great as her admiration of the Salvatore. Because it was the most direct challenge to the order she had established. Cecilia accepts all corners within this order. She will not allow anyone to upend the entire order. So what you're saying is, there ain't no loopholes in this order, is that it? I used to think that, my child. There are no absolutes when it comes to orders established by man. Just as why me meeting you has nothing to do with Selenia. It was just because I happened to meet a fellow Sancta here. Before Cecilia, the land of Siracusa was not without order. The only difference is the order that the families believed in came from themselves. And as no two families could ever share the same order, they could only fight. Cecilia's actions did not completely break this order. Instead, they unified the orders among different families into a single, universal standard. All the families were united into one, and thus, Siracusa became Siracusa. Now tell me, do you know what this means? You're saying Siracusa before and after Signor Cecilia never actually changed? Clever girl. The problems that existed in Siracusa in the past still exist today. We are all aware of this fact. But all these problems can be resolved by seeing Cecilia's fold. Meaning Signora Cecilia. That's a tall order. That is one thing I will not help you with. But for her, there might be a way. However, the price may be too high to pay. Donna? You've been staring at that necklace in your hand since last night. This is a symbol of trust given to me by Signora Cecilia for picking up the pieces of family Texas and leading the Colombian families back to Syracuse. Oh, it must be pretty valuable. Are you going to use it to help somehow? I'm still on the fence. You said Warlock plans to attack Selenia's friends. Yes, they stepped out a while ago, but when they get back, we'll have an ambush in place. Where are you going? Buy some chocolate. Turns out your guess was right on the money. Rosati associates have already started to infiltrate the block. When those ladies from Penguin Logistics get back, I'm afraid they're gonna die a gruesome death. But let me ask you a question, Lapland. Lay it on me. I figured the Rosatis would try to rub out Texas, but you're still a Saluzzo. You really need to send Gambino after that Sancta. Why, you stay here and house sit for him? I never knew you were to give so much for the sake of friendship. Am I that type? Definitely not. Which is why I want to know, what the hell are you waiting for? You plowed that truck right in the courtroom, turned yourself in and cleared her name in the process. And you went on and forced the Saluzzos and Ballones together. I got no clue why the two families actually started working together, but there's gotta be another reason for it, right? You know, by helping the Ballones, you're also helping her. And that's before we talk about how you gave her a hand in yesterday's assassination. You say you want to prove to her that Syracuse is a swamp you can't escape. But it looks to me like you're trying to help her escape. If I need to kill a few of her loved ones, or do something to piss her off, just to prove my point, all that would show is how paranoid I am. Wouldn't get anywhere with that. If it's real, if it's a fact, then it'll happen. Even if I just stood by and watched. But actually, even that isn't good enough. I just can't get out of her way. I have to give her enough help so that in the end, she has to finally admit that all her struggling was for nothing. And doing it like that will bring you some satisfaction? Dunno. All I do know is there's no other way. So basically, you don't know what to do either. Yep. And I never said I did. And you, Capone? You should be more like Gambino and realize that you'll never get the answer you want from me about the two of you. You already knew, huh? He wants to stage his comeback by joining up with the Ballones. What about you? You're still standing here. Do you seriously think you're my vassal? Or are you hoping there's enough room for you on my path? Give up that hope, or I'll kill you. There's only room for one. What about Texas? Texas might just be the path itself. Capone stays silent for a minute before turning and leaving. Oh, what a pleasant surprise. I haven't been here before, but it looks like I'm in the right place. So this is Penguin Logistics' little stronghold. Miss Katerina. Sora. Oh, right. I gave you my number before. Would it be better if I called you Miss Giovanna? Katerina will do just fine. I like the name. Do all Syracusan mobsters like to work in the performing arts? Why not? We can't be fighting and killing each other all the time. Are you all together right now? Miss Katerina? Never mind. Sora, would you mind telling me more about your penguin logistics? Huh? For example, how it came to be, and how Selenia joined. I'm not too clear on the details myself. After all, penguin logistics was already a thing by the time Texas saved me. The boss mentioned a few times how he set up penguin logistics after he met Texas. But when it comes to stuff that happened after I joined, I could talk for days about that. We've been living together for years. I'd really love to chat with you more if we get the chance. There's a lot I'd like to tell you about Selenia. I also want to hear more from you about her life in Lungmen. If you ever get the chance to stop by Lungmen, we'd be glad to show you around. Really? You're not worried about my business? What matters is you were once Texas's best friend. Selenia truly is blessed to have met a woman as kind as you in Lungmen. You ask me? She's blessed to have a friend like you in Syracusa, who's always thinking of her. Oh, right. Sora. Yes? I had a flash of inspiration just now. Huh? I'm always thinking about how I want the grand finale to play out. In my story, I thought she should meet her end, just like a Syracusan would. Surrounded, in an alley, incinerated by a car bomb, so on and so forth. These little excerpts from reality are so overused that they've turned into their own tropes. I want to escape the tropes, and in this story, have her become the least Syracusan. I've been trying to find the Syracusan archetype, but I haven't been able to define it. That's the source of my writer's block. But right now, it's starting to come to me. There are no Syracusans. Selenia, Texas finally disappeared in the conflagration, and nobody knew what became of her. Miss Katerina, are you... I'll be back later. I have some presents for you girls. Balak, if memory serves me right, you're trying to kidnap Selenia's friends? They're not even back yet and you've gathered the whole mob. I would have if you didn't show up. I'm extremely disappointed, Donna. No, Giovanna. Were you that impatient with me? It's not a question of patience. It's just... why should we wait? Why should we have to sit here and wait for the blessing of some antique? We followed you to this country, waiting to become masters of this land. And now, we have an opportunity. Are you so sure? You're certain victory still was in your grasp? Nope. I'm not even certain I can deal with that antique. But I know Balone really wants to bring us into a new age. And I've got a hankering to make a big bet. How many are willing to follow you? 70%. What about the rest? I'll convince them. Or, you could do it for me. If you decide to change your mind, Giovanna, you're still our boss. Looks like I brought up some good soldiers after all. Sorry, Wallach. This text is more important than family Rosati. I just don't think this is how things should play out. The way I see it, some things can only play out like this. Texas. What? Miss Katerina, I mean, Miss Giovanna might be in danger. What did you say? I just caught her and have a really uneasy feeling. Lapland. Yo, what do you want? I just wanted to give you an update on your old friend. She's somewhere near your little hideout, surrounded by wise guys from her own family. Texas, we should go help her. I know. Just a sec. Are you seriously going in? You were all ready to make an enemy of the Rosatis, to get out of here. But now you're going to stay in the swamp. Just for her? Think, Texas. This is your best chance to turn around and walk away from it all. Sora. You know, Texas, this was supposed to be a little job I picked up as a way to go looking for you. But as soon as I came to realize I'd fallen in love with Siracusa's performing arts scene, people here have a certain arrogance to them. They're much better than materialistic Lungmanite businessmen. And next year won't stop raving about how she's going to find the best pizza in Siracusa. As for Croissant, she's always been easygoing. I just wanted to catch up with you. Maybe we can go back to Lungmen after everyone's had enough fun here. We'll go back to Lungmen eventually. The four of us. Together. That's right. The four of us. Together. Well, actually, I just had a chat with Miss Giovanna and asked her to take a tour of Lungmen with us. Said I'd make 5. Okay. A number of people have collapsed in an alley. A number of wounds have appeared on Giovanna's body. Everyone, including herself, knows there is no escape for her. Give it up, Giovanna! Got anything to drink, Walhak? Go grab a bottle from the car. Yes, sir. I've thought about it before. If we would have been better off getting into certain businesses back in Colombia. Original weapons, designer drugs, military channels. I've also thought about if there were certain opportunities that I should have seized. Getting on good terms with those officials, or even extending an olive branch to the Colombian government. But in the end, I decided that some things had to be done in moderation. We're too deeply invested. We're holding too much. I won't claim to be a good person. But at least we can't forget that there are some things we can't do. You could call it principle, or you could call it stubbornness. Times have changed, Giovanna. A new era calls for new norms. The so-called morality and justice of the old guard should be cast aside. Even if we don't do it, someone eventually will. And when that time comes, we'll be the ones who get pushed out. Or do you think sitting around, watching Colombia's other families get their mitts on these things is the right way to do it? What would you do in my position, Walhak? I'll control it all, new and old. Everything will be at my disposal. We're not taking the world back to the old ways. We're turning away from them. Got the booze, Walhak. Come on. Have one last drink with me. Fine. This one's my favorite. You've been waiting a long time for this, haven't you? It was supposed to celebrate your return. About that, from here on, you're Don Rosati. Giovanna, do it. The sound of sharp metal slicing through flesh appears in the alley. It is quickly drowned out by the sound of falling rain. Texas knows she is already too late. The alley is scarred by traces of battle, and blood spreads out across the ground. Her gaze goes towards the source of the bloody water, where a familiar figure lies fallen. Heart quivers. Giovanna! We should be able to have a nice discussion over here, Your Honor. I won't become your accomplice. Accomplice? That's a rather extreme choice of words. Shouldn't you be thanking me for saving your life? Get it? Just treat it as an act of kindness on my part. The upside about you young folk is that you're go-getters. The downside is you tend to overdo it. There's nothing I particularly need you to do for me, actually. I just don't want to see an outstanding young woman like you fall. You? Really? I think the Karasi incident has given you some misconceptions about me. No, I don't think it has. I happen to care more about what's in front of me, that's all. The government is just the cloth draped over the Grey Hall's round table. Lavinia. Everyone in Siracusano knows of Signora Cecilia's lament. But I'd rather imagine there were a few who understood the source of this lament. 30 years ago, there was a group of youths, like you, who naively believed they could free Siracusa from the families. There was no end to the dark clouds that hung over the country, and they couldn't conjure up any support. So they chose to try and win over a number of families by catering to their interests, trying to fight. Thing they thought they could resist. As for what happened to them, nobody knows. Nobody knows? Try to picture the scenario, Signorina Lavinia. Your father is a clerk, works for the city government. One day you get up, shower, and have breakfast as usual. That's when you realize your father forgot something at home, and your mother asks you to bring it to him. It's the rainy season, and you're in a bad mood because you had an argument with your father. But then you think to yourself, yeah, it's partially your fault. It would be better to just apologize. But when you walk into the city hall, you feel an unnatural stillness. The place shouldn't be so quiet at this time of day. Soon, you see blood seeping beneath the doors of various offices. And that's when you realize that streaks of blood are painted all across the floor. You find that everyone in City Hall has gone missing. What scares you more is that not a single soul will comment on it. No matter who you ask, even your own mother is completely silent. It's as if disappeared never existed in the first place. After a while, people begin to appear at City Hall again. And a bit after that, the normal hustle and bustle returns. And you finally realize that's all there is to it. That's when Signora Cecilia's saying really starts to spread. The government is just a cloth draped over Grey Hall's round table. And naturally, the tablecloth can be changed at will. When you've lived through it, you'll understand. Anger, of course. The anger is there. But what happens after anger passes? After anger comes nothing. Just as you are now, not knowing who you can even vent your grievance to. Don Bernardo? The family Balone? Or to Signora Cecilia? No, of course not. They are all cogs in the existing machine. And you, as the gatekeeper to this machine, no better than anyone else. It can't be shaken. And that's why you want to tell me that all I can do is cover my eyes and ears like you, pretending to be oblivious to everything that's going on, pretending I'm living a semblance of what you call a life. Signorina Lavinia, you're even more naive than my daughter. And as someone who's experienced it all, my advice to you is the same as the last time you came to me. No matter what your ideals are, you must live. You must first live on. And if you're really in that much of a hurry to die, at least find the successor first. Sometimes, living to pass down your ideals can be even more difficult than dying a merciful death. Oh, right. I'll be taking up my new post in a few days. And Don Bernardo has arranged a speech for me to deliver to the whole city. There's nothing I need you to do for me, but if you'd like, you're more welcome to keep my wife and daughter company. I do believe that isn't anything that would violate your principles. You're not going with the rest of your friends, my child? I have a somewhat personal question I'd like to ask you. Oh? Please, continue. I learned a few things about you back when I was in school. Back then, both you and His Holiness the Pope were seen as promising young talents. But after Signora Cecilia visited Laterano, you left with her. Didn't even hesitate. You want to know why I left Laterano with Cecilia? Not exactly. What I'd like to know is, you must get along very well with Signora Cecilia, right? That depends on what you mean by get along. But if you mean in terms of understanding, it may be the case that nobody understands her as well as I do. However, our personalities are actually quite incompatible. At least these days, I'm happier hiding in this city to avoid the headaches she brings me. Isn't that also part of getting along with someone? That I cannot deny. Then, how were you able to stay on good terms with her for decades? Senor Aigner, I'm serious. An excellent question indeed, my child. You certainly ask much more interesting questions than your friend. But first, there's something I'm curious about. From the description you just gave me, you seem to get along very well with Texas. That's right. We're the best partners out there. You don't doubt your friendship at all? Not even a little. In that case. Ah, I see now. The reason behind your question. Shared empathy allows you to treat people without reservation. But you still have doubts about the process of getting along with those who lack that empathy. Moreover, it is not deception that you fear, but this doubt itself. You are ashamed of this doubt when you are reciprocated with nothing but sincerity. But at the same time, you are also afraid of how you will handle yourself if these doubts prove to be true one day. Is that the case? Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I think every Sancta who leaves Laterano will encounter this problem. When Cecilia came to visit Laterano, I was tasked with serving as her guide. However, I did not leave Laterano with her because I was persuaded by her ideals, as the rumors claim. Cecilia was still young at the time, and no matter how talented she was, it was impossible for her to instantly come up with a way to change Syracuse after but a brief stay in Laterano. Her ideals were puerile and unrealistic, but they happened to resonate with some of my own thoughts at the time. We discussed and argued ideas day and night until finally, I decided to go with her to Syracuse to settle them. Discussing and arguing. Yes. Even after coming to Syracuse, we never settled the arguments between us. As a matter of fact, our views on Syracuse have never quite lined up. But this does not prevent us from understanding what the other is thinking. So, the key is discussing and arguing? What do you think? I don't think that's right. I don't think Texas and I ever had any serious discussions about anything. I'm not even sure when it happened. We somehow became really good partners. You're a perceptive one, my child. In the end, what kept me bound to Cecilia was not ideals, convenience, or even emotions, but time. Time? The passage of time will bridge most gaps and bind people together, regardless of what they think about it. You'll always be good partners, won't you? Of course, always and forever. Then, all you need to do is keep moving forward. You will experience many different things, as will she. Perhaps your stories will individually have very little in common, but as long as your lives intertwine at some point, well, you'll have nothing to worry about.